There's a lot going on in the world of space exploration with launches from SpaceX and Blue Origin and new missions planned to the moon. We're talking to the co-author of a new book, Starbound, A Beginner's Guide to the American Space Program, from Goddard's rockets to Goldilocks planets and everything in between. Bruce McCandless III is a space historian, and his dad did the first untethered spacewalk back in 1984.
Wow. Hey, Bruce.
Good morning, Larry and Robin. How are y'all?
Good to talk to you. I thought we floated in space because there was no gravity, but that you say that that's not the reason.
Well, there's actually in low Earth orbit, where most of our manned and satellite flights are, that there's still plenty of gravity generated by the Earth. The phenomenon that you're seeing there with the weightlessness is basically a free fall. It's a byproduct of the interplay of the forces of gravity and the astronauts' inertia as they go around the planet. So
wow.
They're essentially falling the whole time they're up there, rather than just sort of floating free of gravity.
Wow. And so we talked about SpaceX and all this stuff. I was kind of surprised to read that this is not as new as people think. There was private space operations going on 30, 40 years ago.
Right. Well, we here in Texas, we're proud of the Conestoga rocket, Conestoga 1, which took off in 1982 from Matagorda Island, which is down near where I grew up, near Galveston. It was the first privately launched rocket to reach space, and it was basically a repurposed Minuteman missile. And at the time, it was seen as, the beginning of the new space age. And Matagorda, believe it or not, which is a tiny little cow pasture of an island, was seen as the new Kitty Hawk of the space era. Now, the company that launched the rocket didn't survive, and in fact, many subsequent companies tried to do the same thing and couldn't make it. And really, with SpaceX and Blue Origin and Sir Richard Branson's company, we're seeing the really legitimate space players now finally emerging.
Right.
So give people an idea. I mean, how long till we get to Mars? How long till we have regular tourism, other than a millionaire trying to go straight up in space and coming back down? What are the timelines on these things?
What are the margins there?
Yeah.
Lots and lots of people predict that. In fact, in our book, Starbound, Emily and I make some predictions, but almost all these predictions are wrong. Now, with Elon Musk's friendship with President Trump and his dreams of going to Mars, maybe getting a little bit more influence of the administration, I would not be surprised to see some sort of initiative during the Trump administration to at least get an unmanned flight to Mars. Elon has previously said he was going to try to send something to Mars in the next couple of years. And so things are happening. It just takes a heck of a long time. Sure. It's a little frustrating if you're a big space fan like some of us are.
Bruce, other than the issue of survival, of course, I would imagine getting dominance in space would be a defense issue. It could be a commerce issue if there are minerals up there, and now we have private people getting into that game. Is there some kind of security risk for America here if we fall behind?
Yes, sir. I think there's definitely a risk. As you know, the Chinese have emerged as a very capable, very competent competitor in space. They are demonstrating every year that they are capable of doing things that only 10 years ago we would have thought only the U.S. could do. So the government has moved big into funding Space Force and NRO initiatives and satellite reconnaissance and satellite defense. That's a lot of what Space Force does these days, making sure our satellites are hardened and protected from any sort of interference from potential international enemies.
So what are the big things that people should be looking for? I mean, do we keep a closer eye on Blue Origin? Do we keep a closer eye on SpaceX? Are they battling against each other?
Well, they are to an extent. Blue Origin's a bit behind. Blue Origin's it's a well-funded, very capable company. But let's face it, SpaceX is out to a huge start, and in fact has the commercial launch market in sort of a headlock. They're an exciting company. I think they deserve watching. Recently they caught another one of their super heavy boosters down there at the spaceport in Boca Chica. So yeah, we need to pay attention to SpaceX. And really, what a lot of space people are watching now is going to happen right here on the ground with the Trump administration, because there have been rumblings that people are not happy with the Artemis program to get Americans back to the moon, because it's been delayed for so long and the cost overruns are so great. And there's some thought that Artemis may not be long for this world, and we'll have to see what replaces it.
Real quick, Bruce, is it even important to go to the moon at this point? We've been there. Is there a reason to go?
Well, that's a good point, and that's Buzz Aldrin's point. You know, we've been there and done that. Now, if we choose to skip the moon and head for Mars, what are we going to say about the fact that the Chinese have set up a base there and are harvesting water and maybe prospecting for helium-3? Are we going to start to have some remorse there that we didn't establish a presence on the moon as well? I think it's an important question. I'm not sure there's an easy answer to that. I would like to see us go back to the moon, frankly.
Yeah.
Are you worried about those 2 astronauts that are still stuck on that space station?
I'm not worried. I feel a little feel a little bad for them, because they've sure been up there a lot longer than they expected. But I do think they'll get back safely. It sounds like SpaceX is going to go get them coming up here real soon. I think in February is when they're supposed to go get the 2 astronauts.
All
so
right.
I'm not worried, but yeah, I feel a little concerned for them.
All right. Thank you, Bruce. The book is Starbound, A Beginner's Guide to the American Space Program, from Goddard's rockets to Goldilocks planets and everything in between. You can get more at Bruce's website or follow him on Instagram. Thank you.
Thank you very much.